Hi, I'm Brad Quirk from Quirk Apps. Today we'll be having a more in-depth view on how you can configure the Dependency Mapper tool to meet your dependency management needs. Here you can see we have a whole host of options as to how you can configure your dependencies to manage a variety of different scenarios or for different forums that you might need to present your dependencies. At the very top, we have our three core options around whether we want to include internal dependencies or alternatively only focus on external dependencies outside the given project or sprint or epic that you choose. We also have the option to include resolved dependencies. So if you are focusing on a PI planning forum, for example, you may want to include your resolved dependencies. Otherwise, you might want to exclude them and only focus on the outstanding dependencies that you need to manage day to day. Finally, we have include issues with no dependencies, which allows you to add issues which have no dependencies on them whatsoever to your charts alongside your active dependencies. Next up, we have what is probably our most popular configuration options, which are how we actually group our dependencies together. Now, this is especially useful for teams that have different ways of working but still need to manage their dependencies between those two different parties. Here you can see we have different options. We can group our dependencies together by project. So project A depends on project B. We may also have different epics that we want to link our dependencies between, different fixed versions as well, sprints, or even down at the assignee level can be selected. Similarly, when we look at the due date of our dependencies, we might have different team configurations that we want to manage on the same board as well. Here you can see we've selected the sprint end date as how we calculate the due date of our dependencies, but you can also select the fixed version release date, the actual due date on the individual ticket, or you can use a blend of the earliest or the latest of those three values. After this, we also have the ability to highlight mismatched or overdue dependencies. So if a dependency is configured incorrectly, where A depends on B, but A actually is due after B, then we can highlight that in yellow for the individual to action. Or similarly, if a dependency is overdue, we can highlight that in red to make it more urgent on the screen. We also have the option to draw a reference line, which just shows the current date on our dependency board view for quick reference. In our display options, these are very cosmetic changes that you can make depending on your personal preference, but obviously if you prefer using dark mode, or if you prefer using a certain grouping color theme, then we have different options available to make it as appealing as possible in your day-to-day dependency management. Similarly, with the status colors, you can use the modern version, which uses gray, blue, and green for to do, in progress, and done respectively. Or you can use the classic version, which is blue, yellow, and green. Once your charts are generated, you also have the option to periodically refresh them in the background. And you can also configure how frequently that occurs. Naturally, if you're dealing with a larger data set, we advise that you space this out over a longer time period to make sure that your instance is not overwhelmed with requests. Finally, we have the ability to overlay capacity views on certain charts, which can be calculated either using story points, the total issue count, or even our original time estimates or time remaining. Beyond this, we also have different options for our individual charts, which we won't go into too much detail on today. But this is all to say that we have a whole host of different options to make sure that we meet the needs of our individual customers and that you have your dependencies represented the way that you want them. That's all we have for today. Thank you.